Hi, my name is Emily Jacobi, and I am the founder and director of Digital Democracy. We are based here in the Bay Area and used to be based in New York. We're a nonprofit organization that works to empower marginalized communities to use technology to defend their rights. And we've been doing work primarily in Latin America, in both Haiti and now primarily in the Amazon rainforest. But we've had experiences in a couple dozen countries. So I'm going to talk about 3 lessons that we've learned from our work today that I hope will be relevant to the rather diverse audience we have here of practitioners from different fields, and I think are relevant to the question of how do we design solutions that really are supportive of communities in times of humanitarian crisis. So the first is that, this is picking up on a point that Allison shared, which is that marginalized communities really are the first responders. It's the people who live in an area who are always the first and actually the last responders. Even if humanitarian workers come in and are there for 7 years, the community that lives there will be there before and after any outsiders are. And so we've really become focused on what are solutions that support those first responders, and what are solutions that build their capacity and their resiliency for the next crisis. As we know, as we've already talked about today, one crisis will lead to vulnerability for another. So the reason this picture is here is this is a women's group in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. This is the first time I met with the women's group Kofaviv. And we were doing work with them shortly after the earthquake, supporting their efforts to end gender-based violence in the tent camps following the earthquake. We did a lot of different work with them. We helped them do media and other projects. And out of their experience and their knowledge of the needs on the ground, we created a call center, 572, which was a free number that anybody in the country could call to get support around women's health issues. They ended up being able to expand their local network, which was about 3,000 members prior to earthquake. They expanded to serving more than 30,000 callers over the first 2 years. So it was a remarkable success. And for me, one of the greatest lessons of that project was that it was rooted in the knowledge and experience of the community themselves. Another example of projects that we're working on is in the Amazon rainforest, where there are numerous environmental threats, including oil spills. There was just news in the past week about new oil spills that are happening in Peruvian headwaters or some of the Amazon. And so our partners are going out and documenting oil spills. And they're really the ones who are gathering the information that then can be used to pressure the oil companies to clean up the spills, pressure the government to hold them accountable. The second major principle I want to share, the lesson we've really learned, is that projects work best when you build technology with rather than simply for local communities. I think particularly in a humanitarian crisis, when time is moving really fast, the urgency is, well, we've just got to come up with a solution. And I really understand that. But those solutions often don't work and break and even can inadvertently cause other challenges if they're not built with a local community. So you might be wondering what this picture is. This is actually a woman in Guyana from the Wapishon community working to solder a piece onto a drone that her community is making themselves. Our partners there are dealing with illegal gold mining. And they are looking to find ways to document that illegal activity on their land so they can put a stop to it. And so we helped them build their own drone because we knew that we couldn't really show up with a large drone ourselves and get it through customs. But even more than that, we know that the drone will eventually break. It'll crash. And when it does, they need to be able to repair it themselves. So these are a couple images from that project. That's kind of dark, but inside one of their village buildings, kind of putting the drone together, going out, testing it, its first flight, first successful landing. And it's been really exciting to see the way in which when a technology doesn't feel like it's just imported from the outside, like it's some magic that's come from elsewhere. Yes, of course, the parts did come from elsewhere, but they put it all together themselves. They used their knowledge of traditional fishing ties to actually tie it together and so on. It really feels community-owned. And the final point that I'll share that we've become really passionate about, because we've seen it again and again in the field, where the power of data and information breaks down is when there's a gap between who has access to the data and how it's shared. And so often, I think programs that are designed from the outside come in with the idea of, let's go in, let's get the information, and then let's publicize it. But often the crucial missing step is that local communities need access to the information. So I've seen so many health projects, for instance, that might go out, train local people on how to use smartphones to go out and gather information. But as soon as they're back to the place where they can upload that information, it disappears from their phone, and they may never see it again. And the local village leaders, the local community leaders don't have access to the information. So a lot of the tools that Digital Democracy has been building have been focusing on how can you sync data locally, even in offline environments, so that local leaders can have access to the information and it can still be shared with the outside. So an example of that is we held a project a year ago, exactly a year ago, called Hack the Rainforest. And it was a hackathon that we hosted in Peru. We brought folks from the outside, from the US and Canada and Europe, and all came together. But we held it in Peru where local leaders could be a part of the conversation and really share that knowledge with us. And from there have been working to build out kind of distributed data solutions. Another example is offline mapping. So this is building off of the OpenStreetMap system, but a system that can work offline. And here's another data visualization tool we built for our partners in Guyana that, again, can work offline. And this is actually the most important part of the whole tool, is that our partners can go down, press print with a simple click of a button, and create reports that they can print out and share at the village level. So that's it for me. I'm excited for your questions.